Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We are powered by the OBBM network, and you can catch us across all your streaming networks, wherever you watch your favorite podcast. Hey, Sam, I want to open up the show real quick. You know, when we talk about mental health and we talk about great companionship, we just rescued this little pup. We call him Ryder now. From Saving Hope Rescue Ranch and Sanctuary. He was fostered by an amazing family, Karen and Bob over in Keller. And he was, you know, he came into our home and he was just greeted so warmly by our other pups. You know, when we talk about veterans and first responders looking for a service dog, a therapy dog, you know, it's always great to go through a foster family or an adoption agency instead of going out and purchasing one of those, you know, high-priced animals. These are just amazing. They want love. They need love. And look at this. Look at this little guy.
He yawned already. He's like, I'm over you.
Yeah, he was sleeping just before the show took off. He's like, I want to go back.
Ryder, Ryder. So cute. And the best thing we were talking about is rescue a dog like Ryder and then get with BJ Ganem over at Sierra Delta and train the dog as part of your continuation of service. Speaking of service, John, there was a lot of service from our North Texas agencies all over the place related to the World Cup. And I know we want to say a thank you and appreciate the folks out in Arlington, including
the Arlington. One shout out to the Arlington Police Department that did a fantastic job out by AT&T Stadium or Dallas Stadium, whatever you want to call it. They covered everything up. Yeah. But, you know, I drive there every day to work. And as I was passing today, there wasn't one burned out bus. There wasn't one broken window. The streets were nice and clean. And we had probably close to 1 million people here for that, you know, partying outside and inside. And it was so well run. And when we look at what just happened in New York with burning buses, breaking taxi cabs, destroying police cars over a team that won. Yeah, celebrate. God bless you. Celebrate. Right. Dance. You know, the people, the fans from the Netherlands came in and they hit every bar out there and they were dancing and sharing their culture and enjoying. The Japanese were in here. They were doing the same thing, sharing their culture and enjoying. They didn't fight. They didn't clash. And then after the game, I saw on the news and I saw many Facebook posts, the fans were cleaning up the aisles inside.
Amazing.
It warmed my heart, man. It was like we are doing something wrong in American culture because one of the reps from AT&T said that the stadium was cleaner at the end of the event than it was in the beginning, and that was thanks to the fans. So you guys did a great job. We got a lot to learn and how to celebrate.
Yeah, and you know, I also want to give a huge shout out last night. If you were maybe under a rock and didn't watch Freedom 250 from the White House, or maybe you're just not a UFC fan like we are, that's okay. That was an amazing event, not just because of the fights. It was super classy all the way, and what made it even better was when the fighters came out, they were escorted to their area before they go into the ring by a first responder and then a military veteran. And the number of Medal of Honor recipients was it was just heartwarming.
Staggering.
I'll say it. And then, well, look, there's not, I'll say the newer guys, because we've, had wars for a while, but even the older ones in the wheelchairs, I mean, they were happy. They had smiles on their face, and the respect that the fighters gave to them and our first responders, it was just great. And our guest tonight, I mean, he's no stranger. I will say he's going to introduce himself. But I'll brag on him a little bit. You're going to want to look up Doug past tonight. He's done some amazing things serving our nation. And so before we bring him on, just a huge thank you. And he's continued his service with an amazing organization that he started that serves the kids, the youngsters that are military and first responder family connected. So without further ado, let's bring on Doug Gallaher from Mission Equip. Doug, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going great. Welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Thank you for having me. Good seeing you.
Yeah, it's good to see you as well. Hey, before we get into what Mission Equip does, tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app a little bit about you and your background.
So I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Grew up to 2 police officers as parents. My dad was with LAPD and my mom was with Sheriff's Department. Whole family, uncles, brother-in-law, all the way down the line. It's always been law enforcement, some type of first responder. So I think that kind of set me on my path of what I would ultimately do. I had gun in my hand since I was 5-6 years old and just kind of went with that. Graduated high school and always had one goal of becoming a Navy SEAL. So graduated 18, about 9 months later, I was shipped off to Great Lakes, Illinois to start my SEAL journey, I guess you would call it. One funny story about boot camp, I snuck in my an ATM card because, you're supposed to turn everything in when you leave the bus, but I was able to get that in. And I was a lifeguard before I joined, so I made fairly decent money, and that was a great job because I had a lake, a beach, sand, everything I needed to get ready. So I remember I was on watch. It was like 2 to 4 in the morning, and I kind of just remember looking down the hall, and I was like, what did you just do to your life? So for a brief second of there, I thought about just taking this card. I could, walk downstairs, probably hop the gate, be on a flight back to LA. But then again, it kind of talked yourself down. Yeah, there was a brighter light at the end of the tunnel. So went off to graduated boot camp, went off to Buds in 2003. I graduated with class 247. And then shortly after that, I checked in the SEAL Team 10. I did multiple deployments with them. My first one's kind of made, history. It was once the deadliest day in Afghanistan for Naval Special Warfare. I was on the Lone Survivor Operation Red Wings. That was my platoon. And I was in the second rescue helicopter behind the first one that got shot down, unfortunately.
Wow.
So that kind of, at 21 years old, kind of opened my eyes that, hey, this is serious. This isn't a game. It's not the movies. That, there's real life consequences. Went on, had a 21-year career. I left active duty after about 12 years, and then I stayed in the reserves with SEAL Team 18 and 17. And then during that time, I switched over to the civilian side, and I still stayed deploying as a contractor for one of our 3-letter organizations. And I did that for about 12, 13 years. Got to, go all over the place. Unfortunately, none of the places that they send us to are any vacation spots or anywhere nice. But the last place I was at did have a very nice beach, so I will give it that. And then through that, moved out to Dallas a couple of years back, and my kids started getting into sports, and that's kind of what led into me starting. Me along with my wife and my co-founder Brandon, kind of us coming up with the idea and getting it off the ground and getting it going.
Yeah, it is. We talk about it is PTSD Awareness Month, and we talk about continuing your mission, you know, when you lose your purpose. So we've talked to a lot of veterans that kind of got lost for a while after they shed one uniform, even if they continued their service in a first responder role. It didn't feel the same at first. Did you have any of that coming out of, well, you went back as a contractor, but after you got out, did you have that?
Yes. So, you know, you put on a uniform, you get this job title, you know, Navy SEAL or whatever it is, a cop, SEAL, you know, and then Monday you are that, and then Tuesday you're back to just being a regular, you know, civilian. So it messes with your mind, you know. Here you were, you have this prestige job title and this cool job, and working with all these, you know, the best dudes in the world. And then the next day, you know, the phone calls stop, and the, you know, hey, let's go hang out stops. And I think the kind of the best way I've heard it is, you know, you're on a train and that train is, you know, steaming down the road. And when you choose to get out, you get off on that train station and that train keeps going without you. And I think that is what gets a lot of guys is, you know, you're so wrapped into that world. You think that, you know, all the memories and all the stuff you guys went through that, you know, you would expect the phone calls to keep coming, but they slowly start dying down. And, but again, it's just, you're on two different paths now. So it's expected, but so, yeah.
Okay.
So Doug, you know, being a SEAL and doing all the deployments, you know, as a first responder, me and Sam, you know, and many others, when we're done, we could sit around a barbecue and we can tell war stories. And that's kind of like, we vent those, you know, and that's a healing process, no matter how dark they get. Kind of hard for you because a lot of your stuff is probably classified and you can't talk about your missions. You can't talk about certain aspects. How do you vent those feelings that are inside you when there are certain things you cannot talk about because you're binded by, you know, confidentiality?
We are going to answer that after our first break, leaving everybody on a cliffhanger. So we will be right back, everybody. Stay tuned after these messages.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
Hey, do you guys like free mobile service?
Yes.
Yes. Doug, you like free mobile service? Yes.
Yes, 100%. Glad.
All right. Well, as you guys just saw, Patriot Mobile is our friends. They take the money that we pay in our bill every month and they turn it around and give it to causes that we care about, like veterans, like first responders, Second Amendment, First Amendment, right to life. It's time that we start putting our money where our values are. And that's where Patriot Mobile comes in right now. If you go to patriotmobile.com/badge, you'll go to a page where you'll see all of our information and you can fill out a form and a member from Patriot Mobile will give you a call. Now, Patriot Mobile is right here in Texas. So they're up in the northern, I think up towards Denton. I think that's what they said. They'll give you a call anyhow and get you set up and you'll get a free month of service. You can bring your equipment over. So, you know, if you like your phone, keep your phone. If you want to get another phone, you can get another phone. They have excellent equipment. But the whole thing is they work with the top 3 in terms of their cell towers. So you are never without cell service, without mobile service. In fact, it's free roaming. So you keep pinging. That's why you never lose service. So if you don't want to do it that route, you can just call them directly, 972-PATRIOT, and tell them a Badge of Honor sent you. Again, take advantage of that free month. Try them out. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. Now back to the show.
All right. Well, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam and Doug Gallaher. Retired. Well, I don't want to say retired. United States Navy veteran. You know, he now has a foundation called Mission Equipped. Before we left, we were talking about, it is post-traumatic stress month. It is, it's mental health awareness month. And a lot of us are able to vent and chuckle and get that dark humor out through some colleagues around the barbecue sometimes. But for our veterans, some of the stuff that they do is they can't talk about. They're bound by rules and regulations, and some of their missions they can't talk about. So, Doug, we were talking about, how do you decompress? How do you get those feelings out, or those thoughts out of your head?
So I mean, like anything, it's just that I found what works best for me is just, staying busy, trying to still, find a purpose, find something new that you like, and, kind of just go all in on that, kind of how we went all in on, our training or being a team guy overseas. If you just keep yourself busy, and mission focus, that seems to be the best course of therapy, because it is hard, to your point. Sometimes you'll meet people along the way, and, great people, but they don't necessarily get you or understand you. And, it's fair to say, I think, people who choose our professions, we have a few screws loose, I guess, that if you are, want to go that route. So it is hard trying to form, relationships and trying to be able to open up to people, because either A, they're like, all right, this guy's crazy, or this story is just weird. So, after doing that for X amount of times, you kind of just, clam up and stop talking to the point. I guess fortunately enough for me, I was able to get on the contracting side overseas, and it's a lot of my same background individuals. So that has been very good, I think, for a lot of us as well, because you lose your service, you lose your tribe, whatever branch you were in, but then you're able to kind of regain that. And I think that's helped.
And you have continued on past that with starting Mission Equipped. So tell us about how that idea came about, and then you're like, hey, we're going to do this as a nonprofit.
Yeah. So again, my kids started playing hockey, and youth hockey is very expensive, especially if you start getting these travel teams and club teams, and like any travel club team, across the sports spectrum. And we were at the rink for tryouts, and there was a Dallas cop there, and I was just talking to him. Obviously, we introduced ourselves, got along, and I was like, are you gonna try out for the team if you're able to? And he looked right at me, and he's like, I can't afford this, because I'm a cop. And that kind of irritated me, especially coming from two parents as cops. And here we send these guys out with a badge and gun, and they lay it all on the line for us, and sacrifice so much and leave their kids behind, that just because the income, because these departments don't want to pay, that their kids are going to get sidelined and not given that chance. So, and then I actually left on a trip, so I went back overseas after that. And then my wife and co-founder, we just started brainstorming, and that's where Mission Equipped was born. So it was 100% real
That's
life.
Yep. Most of these nonprofits, most foundations are always built and cultivated out of a choice meeting with somebody that you would have never, bumped into, And I love those stories that this Dallas officer, you guys chat and you had the conversation, and boom, something beautiful came out of it.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, so I mean, so far we are still relatively new. We just formed last November when we got our official, 501c3 from IRS. So we're only 7-8 months into this. We've probably raised close to about $45,000 so far. We've probably given out about $35,000 to about 20 different families. From team registration to, new gear, or, new travel fees or flights. And, so we're trying to, obviously with my kids playing hockey, we're kind of diving headfirst into that world. But ultimately, this is for every sport, for every program. And, there's lots of programs that are more for like Gold Star and the Fallen, which is completely understandable. But we wanted to open ours to just in general. This is our way of serving those who have served us, and, our way of saying thank you.
That's awesome.
That is great. And so, I mean, we've got baseball. I know somebody that's a travel baseball, hockey. Is it basically every sport now? Because it wasn't like that when I grew up.
That's like me either. You know, I grew up playing baseball, and it was always just whatever youth league was closest to your house. That's kind of where you went and stayed your whole career. And then, went off to high school. But yeah, like sports nowadays has kind of changed. Like this travel and club are kind of like the new go-to. If you want to have the competition and, I think maybe trying to get your kid to that next level, you kind of have to be in these. And I'm learning, especially for hockey, just with ice and how, all of that. It's not like you just find a park down the street and go practice.
Maybe
but again,
but not, or somewhere. You're not here in Dallas.
Exactly.
That's how I just got Ryder. I was at my grandson's all-star game over here at Texas Star yesterday, and the foster parent came up with the dog and just wheeling him around, and a choice meeting. Made a very happy family.
Yeah, that's awesome. I will say that the one positive thing with hockey, though, especially here in Dallas when it's 100 degrees, is you get to go in a nice rink and get to put a sweater on. So yes. I will take that. But no, these travel organizations, the necessary evil is just, but with all that comes a very hefty price tag. I mean, you're, especially for our first responders and our military guys, none of us do that going in there with the intent of becoming, multimillionaires when we exit the military or, law enforcement. It's for serving, a higher calling than ourselves. So yeah, but that's kind of where the whole function of it started from.
Absolutely.
So, for those who don't have kids, I'm sorry, Sam, for those who don't have kids or don't have kids in these sports that don't understand the cost of traveling, what are some of those various approximate for a kid to travel with his team? What are those costs? How much are they?
John, that's a great question. That's where I was going. We're going to answer that when we come back from our next break. So we'll be right back with Doug Gallaher. Stay tuned, everybody.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We are United States Navy veteran Doug Gallaher with the Mission Equipped. Team sports do get very expensive at times. And parents are trying to keep their kids active and off the iPads and get them out in the fields and get them to, learn sports and, camaraderie and team aspects. But some kids just can't afford it. Some families can't afford it, and you started a thing like, and I don't want to be cliche, but No Child Left Behind. So it's not just opened up to veterans and first responders. You opened up to every child. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. And to answer your question before the break, I mean, you go away, you have about 3 or 4 out-of-state tournaments that you usually do. So you're looking at flights, depends on how many, if you take the whole family or just you and your kid, but you're, $1,000 of flights, $1,500, plus a hotel for 4 or 5 nights at $250 a night, plus rental cars, and then plus food. So, it adds up very quickly. Wow. Yeah. And then just throw on, the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 team registration fee for the year, and then another $2,000 or $3,000 for gear. And obviously they're kids, so they're outgrowing everything every 4 seconds. So I mean, like anything, it adds up pretty quick. You're looking at one season, probably with the amount of travel after everything is done. I mean, 12 to 18,000. I'd say that's probably on the conservative side. Tuition. At a community, 100%. So I mean, again, it's and as you can see that for people that are just getting by paycheck to paycheck, that's very hard to justify and throw in a budget to try to give them that chance.
So that's where we hopefully step in.
Now, how do families find you?
Well, right now we're on social media, just Mission Equipped on all the major Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can hit our website, which is www.missionequipped.org. And through there is our site. There's plenty of ways to, if you want to help out, donate, either one time or get on a monthly payment plan. And I mean, that's really where, like I said, we've helped about 25 families, I think, so far. And we're getting a lot more requests for help than we are, getting contributions coming in. And obviously, we run off the generous people that are nice enough to, make donations. So that's the constant fight, the constant battle that we're always dealing with is, it sucks when we get 15, 20 applications for help, right. But we've already, kicked, and we try to go, dollar for dollar, everything we're bringing in, we're sending right back out, to help these kids.
So there is an application process that everybody goes through.
There is, yeah. I mean, like anything, unfortunately, you still have to vet people. And we have it down pretty good now, pretty secure, that they are who they say they are. But yes, it just through our website, there's an application process. Go on there, and it comes straight to me and my founder and wife, and then we just go from there.
So
are there income limits? Or was there you ask that too?
No, I was going in a different direction. You go.
Under over on income, like you said, the Dallas officer, not making a lot of money, but say that lawyer who just doesn't want to spend his own money and wants to fill out the application.
So we've had that discussion, kind of where do you draw the line? And it kind of, it's one of those things like you still want to thank them for their service, but you also don't want to penalize them for, being successful, which we should applaud them for leaving, after the military, life after that. But yes, it's ultimately we have to go through and pick and choose, what battles we want to take on or not. But as of right now, just starting up, we haven't run across that issue yet. But hopefully in the future, but that's a good problem to have, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have a good application process and vetting. So, in an ideal world, it would be like, oh, yes, you'd be able to help every single family and kiddo out.
Sure.
So when you were in the teams and you and your wife and your co-founder were like talking about this idea, I mean, how was it a no-brainer? Was everybody like, yeah, we got to do this? What about your kids? Or did it take a minute to really let it sink in that, okay, I'm now going to continue my service, but it's going to look completely different?
No, I mean, it was actually pretty cool. Like I said, I was gone with my current occupation, and just through text, and it was kind of fun, just going back and forth. I think the most exciting part was just coming up with a name, and then so my kids were involved, and his kid was involved, and kind of what logos, and our name finally came. I thought that was a pretty good one. So much credit to Brandon for that one. But I mean, once we got the idea and started getting the official paperwork in, within 2 or 3 months, I think we were off to the races. So it's been a very fun process.
How was it being able to give that first child out of your foundation the money to participate?
It was awesome. It was an awesome feeling. So we actually were, I don't know if it was the first or second, because it was 5 or 6 months ago, but my kid just so happened to be having a tournament in Tampa. And one of the applications that came through was retired Army, and he lived in Tampa. So we actually met him at my son's hockey rink, and were able to hand him the check with his kid. And I mean, like you said, it's just one of those things where, all the stars align. But that was an awesome experience, just to be able to see it in his eyes and, be able to say, here you go, man.
There's no greater feeling. There's no greater feeling when you can do something, kind or just generosity for another person, because that's just something that they're going to pay forward. They're going to do it. They're going to pay it forward some other way to some other family. And when you start that ball rolling, it just continues, man. It's a ripple effect across the lake.
It is. And I think that the biggest thing, especially coming from my former background and, lots of law enforcement or, any first responder, is just that the sense of pride that we have that, you have to carry to be able to go into these jobs, and, a little egotistical at times. So asking for help is normally one of the hardest things for a, person to do. And for them to kind of throw themselves out there, ask for help, and then we're able to show up and actually deliver. Because again, I know lots of people that would probably just clam up, bottle it up inside and try to go figure it out on their own. And then that's all what leads to issues that, we're all aware of with the veteran community and law enforcement community. So yeah, I mean, again, just them taking that step to ask for help, and, that there are great organizations out there that are willing to step up.
And we all know it's hard for any family to ask for, any family who is from law enforcement or veteran or anybody who's got some pride in them. They don't want to ask a foundation for money to sponsor their child. They want to be able to do it themselves. But, we all fall on hard times. And what you're doing is you're making the process so easy and so non-judgmental for these families. And then, you're just a giving person, and that opens them up in so many different ways.
And obviously with my Navy background, I especially having parents as cops as well, I can relate to both sides. I can relate to the military people because I lived that life for 21 years, and I can relate to the little kid who who's the worry when my dad would leave, and I hear his motorcycle go down the street. Is that the last time I'm going to see or hear that motorcycle? Until, he came home off shift, and then you hear the bulletproof vest come off, and you're like, all right, well, at least another day's down. And then sports was a big contributing factor for me, that when I was off playing baseball or whatever, basketball, you don't think about that. You don't have that fear. So, for that hour or two, you're playing baseball with your friends, and all the other worries are kind of gone. So, to that point, just being able to relate with both sides, it is kind of cool as well.
That is amazing. And do you accept applications from across the U.S., or are you geographically focused on areas?
No, I mean, right now across the U.S. and for, it doesn't matter if you live in California or, New York or here in Texas. Yeah. If you fall under military or first responder, then we will help you out. And we from cheer to, we just help someone with soccer, fighting. I mean, anything to keep these kids active in some type of team event, and that's kind of also a blessing too, to try to keep them from mischief and all that stuff that I'm sure I did as a little kid.
Oh yeah.
I think we all, yeah.
Now, your donations are a lot of them are private, I gather, but do you have any corporations jumping on this? Because for a corporation to get behind this would mean so much to them, because they are making such a difference in a child's life by sponsoring your project to help kids.
So yeah, we actually had Shields right up the street that was able to make a nice donation, and we got linked up with a hockey team out in Wisconsin that they're going to be helping us. They're going to be running a commercial for us throughout their season. Nice. And yeah, a few other academies reached out to us. A couple other big box names that are helping out. So yeah,
that's good. That's good.
But to that, we are constantly looking for more. So if anyone out there is connected, send them our way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when it comes to our first responder and our veteran and military families, there's so many different avenues that we can travel. And, our friends, Ben and Amanda Holmes at East Texas Legends Coffee. Ben is a Marine. He's a veteran, always a Marine. And he and his wife, Amanda, they're on season 2. You can check out their story. East Texas Legends Coffee Company reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming post-traumatic stress to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. So drink coffee and be legendary. Go to etxlegendscoffee.com Use promo code BADGE for 15% off all coffee and all merchandise. So you definitely want to take advantage. Their tumblers, they're super special. It's like 100 degrees. Well, not today. We're getting a little bit of a break. But when it's 100 degrees, your coffee stays cold all day. And when it's a little chilly, your coffee will stay hot all day. So we want to thank Ben and Amanda. And they will ship wherever you are. So you go online, get the coffee or merch or both, and they will ship to you. And it is quick. How quick? Ask John. How quick did you get this?
Quick. Lost my first mug, got my second mug.
Turn around in about 4 days. Well, that's because your daughter liked the first one because her coffee
she
stayed
decided
warm.
to keep it.
Exactly. So thank you, Ben and Amanda. And so, Doug, we are talking about you helping kids across the U.S. in any sport. And I think I heard you say cheer, correct?
Say that one more time.
I think I heard you say cheer. CHER.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yep.
So that's a sport, folks. If especially if you're listening to Texas, everyone's going, yep. And so with that, we have the application process. You get in touch. You have vetting as part of that. You cut when you see the needs, you cut the check directly to the family. Do you go through the organization that is their league?
Yeah, so that's kind of the tricky part, because obviously it's not the giving the money out to them. It's, now dealing with IRS as, a nonprofit and how you have to structure that. We have sent just direct checks to that individual just because their needs were, urgent, and we wanted to get it to them. But the preferred way for us is if we can get enough advance, or if the season hasn't started yet, say, and they already haven't paid, is to pay the organization directly. Because then it's cleanest for especially on our booking side and all that stuff. But
sure.
And then depending on anything, we have to come up as a company, kind of what our threshold and cutoff is of, we can pay a lot more straight to the organization or that sports team than just cut in a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 check.
I just want to reiterate this whole show has got a theme to it. And, when we talk about Ben and Amanda with coffee, when we talk about you, Doug, and your family with Mission Equipped, caffeine, children, whatever your purpose, wherever your purpose leads you, after service, when we leave service, doesn't mean our purpose is done. It means that chapter is just a chapter in our lives, and we move on to the next chapter. Mm-hmm. And as long as you keep doing something that you enjoy and doing it for other people, that's a purpose, man. That's a mission that you can't, you can't pay for. It's inside you. And we see the love that you have for this. And seeing the smiles on the kids' faces is priceless, probably.
It is. And I mean, some of the families that we have helped out have got back to us, and, just the letters they write are just so heartfelt. Because of you guys, he was able to play this season, because if it wasn't for that, we were going to have to, remove him from that team. And like anything, especially when you start getting a little older, in higher level sports, you get removed for one season because some financial stuff. You're at a big disadvantage now because you have all these kids, just aiming to take your spot. So again, that goes to that point. Yeah, there's nothing like it. Just when you receive a letter or something back saying that, hey, you guys made it happen.
And you're changing the lives in a child. You're changing the trajectory of a child, because a missed year could really make that kid feel like he lost his purpose. And when that child, his brain hasn't really fully developed yet, he doesn't understand finances yet. He just understands. All he knows is, why can't I go? And he can, there's a lot of things that could happen with that. He could take it out on his parents saying, you don't love me enough, or you should have a better job, or, whatever. You know how kids think, but you're carving a path for a lot of children. God bless you.
Awesome. Yeah. It's like I said, it's been fun. very, very rewarding. And again, just talking on that, it helps the kids out, helps the parents out, helps myself out, helps me stay, meaningful of, I'm still able to do service. And yeah.
That is great. And going back to the name, because if you go on, I'm going to put your website up again, missionequipped.org. When you go on the website, the first thing you see is, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's the submarine or self-propelled sub. And I'm guessing it's 2 Navy SEALs, maybe you and somebody else in that photo. And you talk about being mission equipped. You have to have the right equipment in order to do the mission that you're planning, whether it's correct training and making sure the training is safe all the way to going to knock down bust in the doors to capture the bad guys, because without being equipped properly, it doesn't happen. And so it is the whole show is these kids would not be mission equipped. They wouldn't have what they needed to, again, not just to play the sport that they love, which is good, but it's when you're talking about the families of the military, not so much veterans, because sometimes unless the veteran is like you, Doug, did the contract, so they're on the road all the time. But first responders, certainly, and our military members, they can't be at the games. I mean, I remember with my son not being able to be at everything. And it does give the child that brain break that they need, and the adrenaline rush and the feel good endorphins for the physical activity. That's like, okay, mom and dad didn't make it to my game, but I was with my team. I was with my friends. My coach is here, and it's just go have fun.
Yeah. And again, having kind of lived that with my parents and law enforcement, and, them not making everything, walking out, and then me, myself, because I was still as a SEAL when I had my daughter. So I was still on the road. And then getting into my current occupation with my new 2 kids, 6 months out of their lives, I pretty much have missed for the past 12, 13 years. That's, it comes with it, part of the sacrifice. So no, I get that part. And you get someone in the military or, a reservist National Guardist who gets called up, activated. They have to go explain that to their kids. Hey, daddy has to leave for 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. And what helps that? It's usually sports, to be around kids, and kind of get that your own tribe, your own community with that. So yeah, all the way around.
Absolutely.
Now, the equipment, I want to make sure I got this right. You pay you pay hotel or traveling or fees. Do you buy equipment as well? Like, I just bought my grandkid a bat, and I know those things are expensive, and they all want to get those new bats, and it was almost $400, and everybody wants a certain mitt. They want it because you can't go there with an unlaced mitt or grandpa's hand-me-down, because kids will make fun of you. So, but mitts are even expensive, or hockey sticks or gear. Do you pay for the equipment as well?
Yeah, depending on what their needs are, whether it be team registration or, as you said, a stick gets broken or a bat, or they grow out of it, or new skates, and you name it. But we're going to take care of it.
Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
But it's funny. But back to your point, that's actually one of our little internal slogans is "Equip the Mission," and I've always found it fascinating, especially in hockey. When my kids are putting their chest protectors on and they're suiting up. Because it always brought me back to being in the team room, when we're all in there and we're all putting our kit on and get ready to go out. So it's always a little internal chuckle. I always mess with them. I'm like, all right, you guys are suiting up. You guys are getting ready to go, fight the good fight. You're going to war out there. So yeah.
That is awesome. We got to take our last quick break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned, everybody.
Leftovers again. It's time for something we haven't had in a long time. It's time for something right. It's time to make the right choice. OBBM Network TV is always the right choice. Choose right.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. On this Mental Health Monday, we are with retired U.S. Navy.
I am officially retired. So
retired?
It's all right.
Officially? Yep. Okay. Officially retired Navy veteran, Doug Gallaher, with the mission Equipped. You know, we've had a great conversation on what you are doing for children across the nation and their families, because you are putting them on a path of success. And, you know, your SEAL training probably taught you need that path to success to succeed in your mission and to exceed and to continue your purposes. So you're teaching these young kids that there's always something you can do to better yourself, and you are passing your values off to them, which is an education that schools are not going to teach.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Do you work with, I'm curious, any private schools that may have to travel for their league stuff or their sports stuff?
No, not currently, but I mean, that's something definitely that we would be able to look into.
Okay.
Right now, again, just because we're so, you know, in our startup stage, we're kind of just.
We just lost the feed for Doug. Doug, if you can hear us, maybe something came unplugged.
His battery went dead.
Yeah. So I'm going to put up missionequipped.org is the website, and go on there. Again, they can't do this without a generosity from folks. If you're listening, thank you to our listening audience. You know, pass this along. We have a lot, as you can see, what we do on A Badge of Honor TV each week. There's a lot of need out there, and it's about changing lives for kids, especially in this episode, but it's also changing lives and for our first responders and our veterans, allowing them to have the next mission, if you will, to find their purpose. So if you go to missionequipped.org and you are needing some assistance with, I had no idea the cost of these leagues. I mean, you hear about travel teams and everything, and I've seen some, you know, they'll do car washes and stuff like, hey, we're going to state, right? We're going to state, or we're going to the playoffs. Yeah. But never in my wildest dreams.
I didn't know it was that much money either.
It's like tuition. It is totally like tuition. And Doug's trying to come on. I think there we go. We got you back. So
a little minor technical difficulty.
No worries. So again, just walk people through the best way. Kids, young people, if you're listening, you can reach out to Doug too. You might have to talk to your parents to get everything, you know, set, but just walk everybody through the process again. I've got missionequipped.org on the screen. Can you hear me, Doug? I'm not sure, Doug.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so walk everybody through the process again.
I can only hear you. Sorry about that.
Oh, you can only hear me?
You can't hear Sam?
No, not right now.
She said just walk us through the application process again, on how family members could reach out to you, and maybe some corporations or donations to to help the mission continue.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Just hop on missionequipped.org and then scroll down a couple places, and you'll see where it says sponsorship, join the team. How can you help? Real simple process, and go on there, and you know we'll get it and pay it forward. That's kind of you know the give and take game. Wait for them to come in, and then we have about 10 applications that are kind of on the short list for us that we're trying to get filled.
Are you doing any fundraisers, community fundraisers, to help raise funds as well?
Yeah, so I know Rockwall out here, kind of where I am, they're having a 4th of July event. So we're going to go to that. And then, like I said, we got in with that hockey team. It's a minor league team out in Wisconsin. So we have a couple of events, planned with them, kind of set up, a table at one of the games. And then plus they're going to throw us on their big Jumbotron and all that.
Very
So
good.
yeah. But it's a couple of gyms have reached out that are trying to get involved as well. So yeah, we definitely have some stuff in the works.
So if I add this back, can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me at all? I don't
think you can hear you at
Yeah,
all,
I don't think
Sam.
you can.
Yeah, I can only hear you, unfortunately.
Yeah, so John, just we're starting to wrap up here at the time. So just thank Doug for coming on and yeah.
Yep. Doug, I want to thank you on behalf of myself and Sam and a badge of honor for being on here today. Sharing your story, sharing your purpose, and just reiterating to all our veterans and first responders out there that, just because one mission stops doesn't mean you can't start another mission. We all have purposes in life, and we could just, that's what's going to keep us thriving for more. We can't just sit and dwell in our pity parties. Sometimes we have to, stand up for ourselves and move forward. If we sit on a couch and watch Judge Judy all day eating bonbons, we're just going to get fat and we're going to die in our recliners.
Yeah,
we can't
exactly.
do
I mean,
that.
I'm sure you've heard that before in your guys' communities. They always say the hardest part for law enforcement when they retire is those first couple of years. They see lots of them not make it past that just because their whole sense of being and their identity and their whole lives all of a sudden just stops. So yeah, as long as you stay focused and stay motivated and try to find anything that gives you a good purpose, it definitely helps and helps with your mental clarity and just all around your life.
The big thing is we all, veterans and first responders alike, we all get a title, right? And we feel we're bound by that title. The title doesn't make us, we make the title. And if you lose the title, you're still the same person, the same man or woman you were, all along. Do not be bound by a title, by police officer, firefighter, EMT, paramedic, veteran, whatever it is. That's all it is a title, man. Your purpose lays in your heart and in your faith and what you want to do to give back. That's where everything lies.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better than that. That's beautifully said right there. It's
thank you for coming on tonight, Doug. Tell him what I said, John. I feel
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on, Doug. Appreciate it. And whatever we can do to help and support, we'll share your stuff. We'll direct people your way, and we'll keep it. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah.
Awesome, for sure. Pleasure. This was a blast. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Have a good
Take
night.
care, brother.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right. That was great. So yeah, missionequip.org, get involved in if you want to get involved in a great nonprofit, give holler at Doug through the website as well. So we have got so much going on, and thank yous to say again to carry the load. Amazing Dallas Memorial March once again. We're so appreciative of all of the nonprofit partners and everybody that came out for that. So thank you. And September seems to be the month. So right now, the first event that we're talking about in September is Texas Takeover. Okay. TexasTakeover100.com. You want to be there. Why do you want to be there? Because, well, we'll be there. So come on out and meet us. But this is being put on by an incredible friend of ours. He goes by the Dukes on X. So Mikhail is all about veterans, first responders, those that give back. And he is coming with his crew from all across the United States to Allen, Texas. And that is the last weekend in September. I'm bringing up the the calendar right now. It is Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th. So we will kick things off Friday night. There will be an early morning gym takeover on Saturday the 5th. Again, this is in Allen, Texas. So go to TexasTakeover100.com. Get your tickets now because they are selling, and you want to meet the folks that can help you. If you want to operate at 100%, this is where you need to be. You will get everything you need to be able to do that. Hear inspiring stories, leave there fueled, pumped, and ready to go. If you already operate at 100%, okay, and there are those out there that are on the path. We're warriors every single day, men, women, and kids. Come be part of this amazing community. Okay, be part of the 100 Club. TexasTakeover100.com. We want to meet you. We want you to be out there as well. Then we have that same weekend starting that Monday. Again, I'm looking at my calendar, the 28th through the first weekend in October. First Responders Retreat with Liz and Joe Bartholomew. The spaces are filling. It is in beautiful Wisconsin at a campground. You have cabins. You're not in tents. It's a way to decompress. Amazing peer support on site. You're talking to people that get it. All right. Those fireside chats are just outstanding. Get with Liz and Joe, firstrespondersretreat.org. You don't want to miss it. And hey, if you want to connect with us, badgeofhonor.org is our website. If you want to connect with the help that, maybe you're thinking about it, things are maybe feeling off, look at our partners and our resources. Just scroll down on the page, click on a logo, boom, make that phone call. You deserve it. So badgeofhonor.org. We've also got private workshops coming up in a North Texas agency as well. So if you are an agency that wants to do peer support training, or you want us to come in for the 8-hour wellness and resiliency workshop that is TCOL certified, get with us at badgeofhonor.org and we will go ahead and set that up. No heavy lifting on your end. We do it all. So get with us there. To all of our first responders, hold the line. You have got amazing prayer warriors behind you. We want you to go home safe every single night. So we're praying for your safety. We know it's tough. Please laugh during the happy times. Stick together during the tough times. Have each other's backs during the tough times, especially across the U.S. and across the globe for that matter. Thank you for what you do to keep our community safe. To our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And to our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you for what you do, keeping our shores safe here at home. John, take us home.
Man, once again, I just got to reiterate, thank you to the Netherlands and Japanese fans who really showed so much respect here in Dallas, to the Arlington police officers and every officer that came out to backfill for this event for the World Cup. God bless you. You guys did an amazing job. New York, me and Sam are both from New York. We both, served in New York. Stop really making it a stereotype, man.
Wrapping up the city.
Yeah, learn from others. Celebrate, enjoy, respect your teams. But you know what? We don't have to bust stiff up. We were the greatest city in the world. Keep New York that way, man. Don't give it a bad rap. We don't want to live like that. Respect our law enforcement. Respect our fire department. Respect our paramedics and AMTs. Man, and that's all I got to say, man. Peace.
All right. Till next week, everybody. Take care.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.